I'm gonna pick all this by hand. Now they got machines that take care of this for you. However, this is, again, this right here is all the corn that I was able to grow myself, and first time for everything will be the first time making into cornmeal. Just like a little haircut, you know. Now, this guy just really needs to be trimmed, so he should have been pruned long ago. And again, I'm looking for about 20 to 30 leaves for this mint tea, and I'm going on the parts that are going to be flowering soon. They got much more thicker stem going on than something that's a little newer. Maybe you can see. Ooh, just do a side-by-side comparison, right? There you go. See? This one you can see on your little seed. Itty bitty. Okay. Alright. And just continuing the haircut for some mint tea real quick. And we gotta bring out the basil plant for the tomato basil bisque. You know, we're gonna have to actually wait just a hot second. Might have tried to do too much at once. We will, however, just start the pasta remix right away. How about that? So I was gonna start sauteing my onion, but I'm gonna do a little bit of a fancier tomato basil bisque. Let's see. Normally with the tomato basil bisque, there's heavy whipping cream, tomatoes, some sugar, yellow onion, basil, garlic. This one here is calling for this one's too fancy. This one's calling for basil pesto. So just fresh basil. T-ball catcher. Oh, they're super cheap. I just haven't committed down to this. This mint is kind of a newer addition to my diet. It's really good for digestion though, and this it took me a couple tries. Mint is something I'm a little bit newer to growing, so just breaking that up really released the aroma. It smells like bubble gum. That's what it's actually. So now I'm just going to use a French press instead. That way I don't have to drain out the tea leaves. It's about 4 cups of water that I put in, maybe 3.5. That's a little much. It is going to basically kind of resemble warm water. Again, this is just for digestion. This is really going to help digestion. Alright, and we're going to let that stew for 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to get the pasta ready. I want to be able to make that cornbread today. I don't know if it'll happen all the way, but we're going to try. Okay. The tomato and the cornbread, it has to happen together. Oh man, but is there enough time? Alright, well, luckily I don't have to talk to too many of you right now, so hopefully I can get all of this through. Alright, but I'm sure you guys are all having a blast meeting me after hours here in a recorded session. You wondered if a wooden spoon really does keep it from boiling over. There's your proof right there, it does. And that is just cooking our pasta really quick. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out a leftover can. I believe I have it here somewhere. Oh, no, yep, there it is. Alright, this is what we're going to throw in right here. This is how I store the leftover. You got to be careful if you store it like this with the saran wrap. To make sure that you don't have food stuck up along the edge, because that will be the first thing that will start to spoil on you. Okay, I'm almost scared to take this off. I'm battling a current right here. Oh, it's a tidal wave of bubbles. It's just like an infectious personality. It just It just feels good, man. Alright, and we're letting that pasta cook and cook, and we are dicing our yellow onion, and we're getting a bowl set aside. Oof. Now, I never really bother so I need to turn up the heat a little bit back up. I'm going to put this lid in. It's almost done, almost ready. We're going to go ahead and get this ready. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add just the tiniest drop of sunflower oil. It will work just as well. I poured a little bit too much even, so I just wanted to coat, so I'm actually going to use the rest right here on my cutting board. My wood cutting board loves some oil, so it's not a big deal. Look, this is about to boil over, so save it, put the wood spoon back on it. We're going to get a fork. I'm going to give this a little quick stir. I want some jalapenos here. The water out like so. I'm going to use that as a thickener for my tomato basil bisque here in a minute. And then I'm going to just transfer that right over to my plate. Let that cool off for a second. Get this balsamic vinegar. There we go. And I would finish this. You'll watch it transform on the plate as we let that tomato out on the top. Now we let it sit. That was by design. We let the pasta sit on top of the tomatoes the second it came out. That way it warmed up the tomato eating. It cooled it off just enough that I can immediately start nomming all this down. Nomming all it down. Nom nom nom. Nom 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 nom. A tablespoon of butter. Going there on the bottom. I'm gonna enjoy some of this mint tea. Now this is a great non-caffeinated, doesn't cost me anything. It's a very clear liquid. Butter here. Now to keep it from burning, because burnt butter bad, is that we're going to add a little oil to it. And this is going to raise the burning point of said butter. So that was probably like 2.5, 3 tablespoons right there of sunflower oil. And I use sunflower oil instead of olive oil because I don't want my pan to start looking like this. Now this is what happens when you use the wrong type of oil with ceramics. However, my handy dandy tortilla maker, excuse me, my fry pan, my beloved fry pan. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that down. We're gonna just have that at A2 just for a second, so I can cut this onion. Okay, so again, what we're going to do here, I'll explain this just about every time, is I'm using my fingers as a guide. You can probably see a lot easier now. I switch up this can, just how I'm doing it. Now go ahead, don't be shy. Make sure you get all the edges off, and after you make slices across it, you're going to turn the onion. You're going to go ahead, give it another slice through. And this is how you dice the onion. And we're going to go for almost a mince. So I'm just going to do one more cut over it. If you see big ones, to save yourself time, just cut those separately. Don't throw them back in the pile over here and expect that you're going to be able to get it all chopped up. The better you get with cutting is the less cuts that you make. 1, the longer your knife's going to be sharp for, and the less time it's going to take you to cook. Because we're going to turn this up to 4.5. Oh, I don't care. I'm using a half cup. What you're looking for to saute it is that you're looking for the bubbles to be gone. So when the bubbles are gone, you know the oil is hot enough. The oil butter mixture, and that oil butter mixture is going to give it a nice flavor, that nice buttery flavor, but it's going to be hot enough where you can actually saute them. That was a whole meal. You would have paid at least $5. Okay, a ramen, I know I get ramen's 99 cents, but I didn't have to throw away any packages or anything. I just used this guy, and I got a whole plate worth of food. Look, it's already clean. It's already done. It's already taken care of. Woo! Clip shot! Anyway, you ready for the noise? You ready for it? And very quickly, which is good. This meal can be put together quite quickly. So if I need to buy myself some time here in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my vegetable stock to it. And what I'm going to do for the vegetarian cooking shows that a lot of Tomato Basil Bisque recipes call for chicken stock. So what you can find is a no chicken stock. Now we're going to go ahead and throw a little bit of celery in here. Yeah, we're not going to use a ton of celery, and we're going to give this a quick wash over here. Down translucent and brown, that is when I'm definitely going to want to have to add some of this no chicken broth. Have a sip of my mint tea. Like I said, if you're watching after the live broadcasting, you're not missing out on any of the fun times. It's all happening right here. We got a solid show all the way through. That's my super secret concoction right there. Super secret food safe concoction. No, this is not turning into a musical tonight. However, the Genetic Opera, great show. Okay, so I actually even got hot water, gross people out, and using what some people might consider an old sponge to clean your cutting board. Some folks might not take too kindly to that. So a clean rag, like a clean rag, or a paper towel is a great alternative. And I'm going to go ahead, just line these up. So I cut them in half here, and this is just because I want to get as small as cuts as possible. And I'm letting my knife do the work here. I want to work my food processor, my Bamix, when I use it. I want to work it as little as possible. So I'm trying to get as small as cuts. So if you lose your grip and it becomes uneven, don't worry. Just keep on working back your fingers, and you'll all reach even again soon. And then I'm cutting through it. I'm doing like this motion. It's a rocking motion. I'm always making a claw. I'm not cutting with a flat hand. That's how you lose the finger. I'm not cutting at a speed that's trying to impress anyone here. And I am trying to keep the more bitter part out. Okay, next we'll get this added. I'm keeping this lid so any liquid, instead of getting on my stove top, it goes back down. And this is continuing to add things. The stock back down now is what it is at this point. Okay. And we're going to give that a quick little stir here. I have it at a 4.5 right now. I was sauteing the onions just a second ago. Ooh, Biospirit is the next song playing right now. Ooh, thank you all for joining me tonight. This is a great show all the way through. We're going to be played till 8 o'clock, and we might go to 8:30 today. And we're going to see if we can get the tomato basil bisque cooked and make cornmeal from scratch to go into cornbread. That's the show that we're trying to do tonight. It is top of the hour, 7 o'clock Mountain Time. Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate all the views that we have gotten so far. Please take a moment to follow me down here in the stream. This is a vegetarian cooking channel. This is about my 6th show now. We're getting better every single time. We're a well-supported show. Thank you so much for coming. It's 7 p.m., top of the hour Mountain Time out here in beautiful Colorado. Enjoying some mint tea to help with the digestion. And we keep on really going at it. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this away here. I'm going to get another nom on that pasta real quick. See, I'm trying to make a show that's like realistic to the working family, because that's all the time that you have. This is the same as me. You get home, you have a second or two to pick up the kids, and then you gotta start making dinner, and you haven't even had anything for yourself yet, and you can't afford to eat out these days for one reason or another. Am I right? Can't afford to eat out these days. Or eating out is just expensive. It's all way too expensive, okay? This isn't like cup of coffee expensive. This is like extravagantly expensive, and people started figuring out when they were charging $7 for avocado on toast, right? Just ridiculous. Okay. Water in the sink. What we're going to do is actually fill up a bowl with water, and we're going to let the dirt collect at the bottom of the bowl. So you want just enough water so you can give the tomato a nice rinse and let the dirt settle to the bottom. That way you can totally... It's a little hard to see with the ceramic, but you might see that there's a yellow tint, and that's the pasta water that we're working with. We're going to go ahead and add that. Now that's some starchy water, so it's going to be a nice thickener for that tomato basil bisque. Now if you're trying to use the heavy whipping cream, we're doing it this time because I realized that I was trying to imitate the bisque without really having a bisque recently. So we need to use the heavy whipping cream. That way we know what we're trying to imitate for future shows. Okay. To trim everything on the bottom, I wanted to see how this was going to come in, because what you can see, it's almost getting woody. And people at this point would tell you to replant basil. Oh wow, this show is going to go late for sure. There's no way we're finishing at 8 o'clock. We're definitely going to have to go to 8:30. Okay, so here I'm going to cut, even though that looks like the new growth, I'm going to cut it I'm actually going to cut it back there because I want 2 to grow. I can't remember quite the word for it. Now I actually am going to cut on a lot of the new growth because I really want to jump start that. I really want it. That one's still a little too close. Prune it more, I'd get a lot more. This plant should have been able to get a lot bigger, but because I never cut it early on, because I wasn't trimming it every week, when it was really starting to grow, I didn't get as much basil as I could have. It's one of those plants that respond well. Okay, so here I'm some basil here. admiring, being thankful. And I'm going to go ahead and just pluck these leaves. I'm going to be careful with the stem here. But welcome to the chat, Mr. Wing. Glad to have you today. We're making some tomato basil bisque. Alright, I think we really need to speed this part up. This is one of those things that it would be really good for the kids to jump in if you don't want to trust your kids with a knife. This would be a great little project for them to take care of, and they can get everyone in the kitchen. Everyone can cook. Everyone should cook. Alright? Alright. And we're drying those off. Okay. Now we gotta cook up some tomatoes real quick. And yeah, I'm gonna just, we're on a time limit here, so you're gonna just see it's nothing really fancy. Just, ooh, that one's still a little green. It's okay if it's a little green. That still probably has more flavor. Gotta go a little bit deeper to get that core though. Probably has more flavor than any tomato that you're getting at the store right now. Because you gotta think, how many miles did your tomato take to get there? Ooh, see, this one's a little funny there. See this little funny guy here? We'll deal with him in a little bit. Okay. So now I cut all flat here. Now I could have made an extra cut here. Now, So again, this serrated knife is making it really easy. So I'm doing my this 3 slices through is what I'm trying to do. And I'm letting the knife really do the work. I'm really trying to just glide through. That's going to keep from too much juice leaking through. And look at all those seeds right. This could start dripping on you, so you gotta be careful here. Now, you gotta remember that tomato juice can stain. So be careful what you use it on. Don't use it on anything fancy. And don't wash this with your regular clothes. Try to wash it separate, okay? Okay, nobody going home sad today. Just cooking some tomato basil bisque. Alright, now that I made 3 slices in, now I'm going to do 3 again. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do as many, just 3 or 4, because we're still going to mash these up, okay? And so I'm just working. Having a nice large cutting board really helps with this part. And then you can see how I'm working through the cutting board here. This is kind of hard to explain with the words. This is where one of those, just look at the camera real quick, kind of see how I'm keeping the juice together, clawing my hand, turning the tomato. Now this is just going to be so I can mash them, and then we're going to add them to the soup here. Now, if I was working correctly, I would have done this part before I plucked the basil. But that's okay. So you notice that I left the tops and the bottoms on the side. And I am trying to do this as quickly as possible right now. And that is actually one of the ways I'm saving time. So per slice, I'm getting so much tomato per cut out of those first couple compared to those end pieces. So I'm pulling my cutting board out and I'm getting all the juice and everything. Okay. Now I'm going to skip the step. I would mash these. It's kind of an unnecessary step that I did last time. We're going to hit these with an immersion blender anyway. fighting with the microwave here a little bit on that one. Trying to make sure you guys have a good shot. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a 6 because I just added a lot of stuff and it's going to take a second to regain heat again. Now, if you got any tomatoes that didn't get broken up, take the time now with your spoon to take care of that. Okay. Thanks for the love, Bortheon. Yeah. You have a good luck at work there, bro. Mr. Bortheon. He's a big Minecrafter and Rocket League. Pretty good at Rocket League. Should give him a chance. Show you some skill. Him and Ash Artful here started a new world recently, so if you're new to Minecraft like me, it's a great time to look at, building the basics before, they're building skyscrapers. And how did you ever do that? I need them. How do I get wood? What's chopping? So here on the, I'm just cutting each top, and I was cutting a bunch of bottom pieces first. So here with the top on the core, you can see how I flip it around 4 times. I'm just getting 4 quick chops. This is another bottom piece. I'm just cutting it into 4s. And see, this is all going to continue cooking, heating up right now. Except this, I'm going to go ahead and just add a 1/4 cup water, just because I want all the tomatoes to be submerged in the water. Okay, that was a 1/4 cup of water. There we go. And that will just let it cook a little bit more evenly. I'm getting all my onion and everything back down into the pot. Then we're going to bring that up to an 8. We want to get it to a boil. Oh my goodness, I missed one. Look at that! He tried to sneak out on us. This another stir as it comes to a boil. 8's going to be a little hot for this ceramic pot, so but I need to get it to a boil first. So here we go. Okay. So I definitely need to get that basil in. I didn't. So I'm going to cheat today. I didn't cut up any garlic. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of garlic here. Again, you're looking for like kind of a sweeter, so you don't want the garlic overpowering. You want the garlic just to complement the basil. And now with our basil, we're going to get all the stem that we can from it off, because again, the stem part is what is going to really ruin the consistency of your dish. These parts right here, want that gone. What you do here is, if your leaves are larger, you can stack them up individually, kind of like boom, 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 and then you want to kind of mince these. If you got a little processor, I do recommend kind of cutting them by themselves. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm doing kind of rougher chops than I should on it, but it's just, I want to get it added to the pot, start releasing that basil flavor. And just because I didn't feel like now that's at a rolling boil is what we call it. It's really steaming. That's going to be okay. I'm going to add some, I didn't quite have enough fresh basil, so I am still going to add about half a tablespoon of dried basil here, which I have here, just some basil leaves. Alright, see, this is at a 6.5 and it's still at a rolling boil, okay? So that keeps the steam from coming off on me, the lid here. And I'm going to go ahead Add the basil in. I want all my basil, no waste on my cutting board. Thank you very much. And oop, this is one of those. These calves, come on. There you are. Just because I don't really want to add moisture into it. And I really want to make sure I'm adding the right amount. Because I would have gotten a bunch of steam up in that. Clean as you go, sign of a crow, sign of a crow, sign of a pro. Man, that was accidental, but that might be my new saying, sign of a crow, sign of a pro. Clean as you go. Because crows and cooks, they should be friends. Shout out to Crispy. I hope you watch this show sometime, Crispy. You're a wonderful baker. Okay. One of my real life friends there. So I'm gonna make sure I give this a nice stir, just using the lid to keep the steam away from me. Okay. 7:35 and we haven't even begun to take care of this. Okay, well I'm gonna clean up a little bit. Excuse me. Going to clean up a little bit here real quick. Thanks for all the love in the chat, everybody. Really appreciate you guys spending some of your Friday night with me. Or if you're joining me on the recorded session, don't worry, the show is for you too. So this is at a 6.5 and it's boiling. Okay, and we're going to take it, we're going to let that cook down for a little bit. We're going to give ourselves a second to breathe. It's boiling, it's fine. The reason why I can get away with letting it boil like this is because a lot of the tomato basil bisque recipes I'm looking online that you, the follower, will probably be looking up yourself. If it's not out of the cookbook, it's probably one of the top searches on the interwebs. And so I'm kind of basing my decisions off of things that I see there. That way I can let you guys know what I think about them. And there was one that I already called out that I was just absurdly just the best creamy tomato basil. How much sugar? 1 teaspoon of sugar. That's what I'm talking about. 1 teaspoon of sugar. Wonderful. Not too wonderful. I love it. I've seen some recipes that are calling for like a whole half cup of sugar, and it's still serving 8. Now, if you're really having a problem having someone eating their vegetables, if you're just starting to try to get them to eat their vegetables, I do recommend throwing a bit of extra sugar in it. And go ahead and go ahead and add the half cup of sugar. And the reason why is because look at how much sugar is on the back of these drinks. Okay, I know people have heard this before, but honestly, have it in this instead of in the soda. It will sugar, not to this is just general health, is that sugar is addictive. So get them addicted to the vegetable and then take the sugar out, and then let them have that identity crisis. Were they addicted to the sugar? Were they addicted to the vegetables? Was it the healthy living, or was it the addiction? Get them good. Okay, so now we're moving on to this part. I don't think I'm going to have time to make the cornbread, but I can show you where I think I do have enough time to make the cornmeal. So we'll make the cornmeal tonight for the live show, and then we'll sift it and everything. We'll spend I'll go all the way to 8:30, just kind of seeing who gets in the chat. But we're going to finish up the tomato basil bisque tonight. Okay. So, let's see. So, oh, someone's calling me real quick. Let me make sure everything's okay. Hey, Noe. Hey, dude.
I might be having a friend come over to smoke a bowl, like, afterwards.
Oh, hey, Tyler.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
You got me?
Yeah, I got
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Alright. Yeah, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I got you.
Alright. Anyways, heads up.
Okay, cool beans, man.
Alright, later.
Bye. Anywho, hope you were enjoying the music during that. So, Okay, like I said, for the live show, we'll go ahead and I'll show you the process that we're going to do for that. We're going to finish up this tomato basil bisque here. I'm just I reduce the heat down at this point. I want to let it. We're going to go ahead and turn off the heat, and we're going to let it cool before we blend it. We're going to go ahead and use the Band Mix to blend it here, and we're going to go ahead and start. So they have machines where you just put the cob in and it'll pluck all this off on its own. Now what I'm going to be doing, you could use a dehydrator, and you could put fresh corn in a dehydrator, or you can put it in the oven you just have to wash it before they brown, but you can dehydrate them in the oven at about 105 to kind of get the same effect as if you don't own a dehydrator. The goal is that you just need to be working with a dry corn. Okay, so we have the heat off on that, and I'm also going to be collecting seed from this at the same time. And I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic for a minute here. I actually know how to do that correctly as I grind this up real quick. Alright. Gotta remember to turn the microphone back on again. So, now what I was saying is I don't have a finer grain than this, but it did a really good job. Now you can put this in again and blend it again to get an even finer consistency. That it did, it was white, but there is still where the husk was still very purple. So this could still be but we're doing it for you live today. So you really want to make sure that you don't skip this part. This is where you're getting the consistency right. Real quick. We're not going to go crazy because I am still going to need to take care of that in a moment. Okay, let's see. The last thing we need to do . So we're going to bring it back medium heat again, and we're going to add the heavy whipping cream. Give it a nice little stir again with the immersion, and we'll be done. Okay, let's take a look at these cornbread recipes. Let's see, cornbread. Let's see, I don't trust Betty Crocker today. No, I'm gonna look at what the Food Network has to say. So we need just 1 cup. One cup of yellow cornmeal. There's just not enough time to do it tonight, folks. I'll make I don't think you'll really want to see me doing this whole thing on the stream. I know you guys are going to give me a follow here, but I don't need to do that to you. We'll just finish up, and the cornbread will be a nice little surprise. You'll get to see this turn into something delicious. Can't wait to show you. Okay, now so this little guy right here, 2 cups. We're only using 1 cup. The reason why we're heating this back up again is to bring it to serving temperature. Now, if you were going to say if you're doing this as a meal prep, I do not see a need to bring the heat back on. You can just simply finish the dish. Add it, let it cool off, throw it in the fridge. Alright, So this is also going to be our last chance to get any big chunks. This is where we gotta get our consistency right. And this will wrap up our show. This has holes in it, but notice like how much sticks. Look, it's not draining through. A great consistency there. Oh, it's like a shame to put some down the sink. Now, salt and pepper to taste. So, I'm going to taste the base. I'm going to throw in a teaspoon of salt here. A healthy teaspoon. Pepper is going to change the flavor, so they tell me. So we just want a little bit of that. A little bit of pepper. There it goes. Give it a nice stir there. See what we're working with here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go big on the pepper. Alright, and let's plate this up. I always like to show off a little bit of plating technique. Part of us seeing the food, smelling the food, all leads into our appetite. And some days, especially when you're, when someone's having a bad day, sometimes you have to help convince them that they're hungry. These are all things that help with that, If it looks good, you start to corral them to get the good bacteria back in their belly again. They get be happy. So from the center of the dish, now if you're really trying to go for a spectacular, I'll even show my mistake right there. Now, you can use a sponge if you want to. However, I recommend for this to clean up just a nice little paper towel. Again, like I was saying, a sponge might gross some people out as it's not the most sanitary thing to be using. And then we're going to add in a little bit of color real quick. So I have a few more basil leaves that I have set aside. And we're just going to pluck those real quick. A couple basil leaves set aside, and we're just going to throw them here. Kind of making a little lily pad on top of everything. I'm going to put some color. And there you have it. Let's see what that looks like. Let's get a final close-in shot. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been the Tomato Basil Bisque episode. I also showed you a little bit about how to make your own cornmeal from scratch here. We put it through the sifter, we put it through the grinder, and this right here, this would be, I don't see why parakeets wouldn't be able to eat this. So you might want to look that up about house birds, but this would make excellent chicken scratch. I do know that much is true. Okay, everybody. Until next time on the Vegetarian Cooking Channel, still unnamed, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You all have a great night. Thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure. You all have a great Friday evening,